Okie dokie. Welcome back to another episode of Before the Break. We're continuing our director series where we speak to directors in film, TV, and theater to chat about the industry, their perspective on actors, and how best we can take advantage of opportunities to grow in our careers. This week, we're talking to writer-director Josh Hope, who has single-handedly been writing his own films, getting funding, making those films, and getting distribution. I don't know how many Best Film or Best Director awards he has because I simply can't count them all. Films include Wild Blue, The Life and Death of an Unhappily Married Man, and most recently, Alex October, which was recently picked up by Desktop Entertainment and released in select theaters and VOD back in September. Josh has also served as programming director for several film festivals across the country. And here's talk about the film, actors, and life. Please welcome film director and my friend, Josh Hope.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome
Thank you for being here.
Josh, we've we interviewed Seth not too long ago to start off our series,
Seth Savoy.
Yes, the Seth Savoy, who's been doing wonderful things, and it was a really popular episode. People got a lot out of it, and so we decided to start doing more of these types of interviews. So first of all, let's just quickly chat about your background so that people kind of understand where you're coming from, because I think a lot of people think, oh, you got to be born into it or have a name or have some connection or whatever. You're from Waynoka, Oklahoma, and that's about as away from LA as Indiana for me. Can you talk about growing up, your interest in film and kind of how you started to make this thing happen where you were?
Yeah, well, Winoka, Oklahoma is a very, very small town in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's probably 800, 900 people there. I think the closest cities were Oklahoma City and Wichita, which were 2.5 hours away. It's quite a trip. So growing up, being a filmmaker wasn't even a thing. Wasn't even like
not even on your radar.
No, wasn't even a possibility of a thing that I could do. I loved movies. I was passionate about movies. That was like my one escape from this small town. I was really into, all types of movies from, Tim Burton's early stuff like Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
But, horror. I got into horror stuff when I was a kid when I shouldn't be watching it. Things like A River Runs Through It, all sorts of stuff, which, sort of, I guess, probably stoked my passion, but it wasn't till way later whenever, this became like a thing.
Yeah. And, you mentioned something about your kind of escape from this small town. And I think that covers everybody who is either throwing an album, a vinyl on the record player, or like throwing in a movie, but there's something about this stuff that's happening far away from us that we're able to access. And truly it is an escape. And the more I circle myself around film, I mean, I watch a movie every single day. Absolutely I do. Because that's my work. It's my love. It is my escape. And like a drug, it really is a way to kind of take you out of the mess of life and put you into a place where you, depending on the type of film you're watching, it can really be a therapeutic experience in terms of simply just breaking away from reality and immersing yourself in some sort of experience. So whether you're growing up in Oklahoma or Indiana or the backyards of LA, everybody kind of had the same upbringing because we were all brought up on Pee-wee and Tim Burton. And we were all brought up on the Coen brothers and all that stuff, so we all had this thing inside of us, the same escape. And I think that's why when filmmakers get together, we stick together like friends, because there's this really palpable foundation thing that erupted kind of in our adolescence and got us through some tough times and maybe some tough places.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about that escape and just, discovering new worlds. Where I was from, everybody was like me. We all kind of looked the same, went to the same church, I mean, my best friends I went to school with from first grade through we graduated high school, and I was in every single class with these same people. So it was just something to get away from that and see something different. And, and now it's, getting to create those worlds and getting to create new stories. Hopefully somebody else watches and can see, my stories about these people and be like, oh, that's different than anything that I've experienced. So, yeah.
And in terms of starting your career, really starting it, things began for you concretely in Chicago. And there's a story about getting to Chicago that was actually the impetus for a film. One of your I'd say most successful and active films on the festival circuit was this true story. Can you talk a little bit about, not necessarily the story, we might get into that later, but getting into Chicago and starting to collaborate, guys like Tanner and things like that, where you and I met? How
Mhm.
was that process getting into that market?
Well, for me, I went to school in Oklahoma. I went to Oklahoma State, and I was studying journalism, and I was working in TV news and radio, which was like what was the closest thing I could get to my dream, I guess. And then I just saw
Josh
this.
saw the transfer of into high definition.
Yeah,
It's the most incredible thing. You could
yeah,
see things so clearly in color.
right. It was like Pleasantville kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I was working in TV news, and I was, a reporter for high school football games.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and you can only cover so many high school athletes when you're like, what the hell am I doing with myself? These guys have the same answers. But when I was in college, I saw this like internship come through for Universal Television. And I was like, Universal, this is amazing. So I applied, and I got it, and they put me to work on the Jerry Springer show, which was in Chicago. And that was like, I was like, this is amazing. I was always a Cubs fan, always a Bears fan. Like, I can go to Chicago and do this and get my foot in the door of this entertainment. And so I did it, and it was crazy. I mean, as you can imagine.
Jerry's
Just
such a nice guy, isn't he? I came in
it,
for a promo for Life and Death. Actually, he was there. He was at our interview that morning at like 7 in the morning. We had an early interview for the film. There was a premiere in Chicago, and he
yeah.
was there. I'm sure that you talked to him. Did you?
Yeah, I did. And I was like, Jerry, I used to work on the show. I don't know if you remember me. And I don't think he did. I talked to him a little bit, but like,
How funny.
but he was, the first thing he said was like, I'm sorry. Hope it was a horrible experience for you. I was like, no, I mean, I got to see how a TV show operated,
Right.
from, I was a PA doing like the dingiest shitty jobs, but I was like, there was just like some sort of magic whenever I'm carrying a mic on set in front of this live studio audience. And you're like, even though we're putting kind of poisonous garbage into the world, but for me, it was just like, oh, this is like how it works. This is how it operates. So that was kind of the beginning of everything. And that led to other
Hasn't he
jobs.
recently kind of like apologized for all that?
I mean, I think so.
Like what the show was, and it was it became kind of a pop culture phenomenon there for a bit when
And in Europe.
became known for like the fighting,
Mhm.
I think like in the last few years he was like, man, we were really, what you just said, like putting venomous stuff out there, and he's like, ugh, in hindsight, which I mean, when you're like one of the biggest TV shows, obviously you're like, let's just keep going. And in hindsight, he was like, oh God, that show was not a good look.
And like I said, I didn't get to hang out with Jerry very much, but he would come into the office, and before we filmed, everybody's like, hi. And, he would briefly talk with a few people, and then he would come over to me and another PA and talk to us about, whatever, sports or something. And you could tell he just like didn't want to think about or be that Jerry Springer guy for a few moments. And, you could kind of see it in his eyes that, I'm not going to speak a lot about what Jerry was feeling, but just from my interaction with him. So you could kind of sense that, but at the same time, whenever I was there, it was like the #1 show on daytime TV, rating wise. So it's like, it's hard to just walk away from something like that, I'm sure. But, super nice guy. He was a former politician, as most people know. And it's exactly like a politician. He's very warm, and he embraces, he's able to talk to anybody. So that was, that's how it was.
And I think it was an interesting moment too, because it was a merging of, at that point, the present of where you came from, and also the past of how you started. And I love those moments. And I think that if we opened our eyes a little bit, we're able to see that peppered in across our lives. It's there. And I just love those moments because it kind of instills this sense of structure in this life that seems to be just floating out into space, but maybe that there's something skeletal, like things that are passing our path, and then we see them again, and we're at this other height, and it reminds us just how far we've come. So beginning this indie film journey in the Midwest, in a terrific market that's actually at that point was starting to blow up, just with the shows that were coming into town and stuff like that. How did you begin getting around and meeting people and getting in those rooms and creating stuff Did you go to meetups or anything like that?
Well, not really. I mean, after Springer, that led to some other jobs. I worked on a lot of reality shows, and I kept coming across these same guys in Chicago, whether they were PAs or what they were doing. And everybody kind of had the same story that they wanted to be making movies. And, whether it was a sound guy or a cinematographer or other directors or writers. So we kind of like formed this little group, like 5 or 6 of us, and we would work on each other's films. Like if somebody wanted to direct, we're like, all right, this is your turn. I'll do what I can. I produced and I was an AD and stuff like that. And other people did their things. And then we just kind of took turns. We made short films. And that's how I kind of got a taste of like, how it sort of operates and, in the process of working and completing a film, whether they were shitty or not, it didn't really matter. We just wanted to create stuff, and that just kind of, snowballed and led to other things. And,
And when was it that you started to write the first film that was, like a legitimate film that was say on the festival circuit or anything? I know that you were a producer on several, but as far as a director, what was your first film? Was that Wild Blue?
My first feature, was Wild Blue. Yeah.
Okay, and there was a couple shorts before, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think 5 or 6 shorts, something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I didn't go to film school, so I always kind of looked at that as my film school is just, trying and creating different things and trying to work with different actors and different genres.
When I saw Wild Blue, and I just posted something about Kurt because Kurt had a great supporting role, Kurt Conroy, in that film, and he taught me so much. I don't know if I've ever told him this, but one of the greatest classes was going to a premiere of Wild Blue and watching him, and how he had this thing that I noticed immediately that I hadn't noticed is a thing in acting. And that's having this sincere personal opinion about anything and everything, whatever it was. Even in the tiniest of moments, he had his character was so fleshed out and so easy to understand that in those moments that came so organically to him, he had these golden nuggets in every scene, and it wasn't anything that he tried to do. It was simply just him in that character and what that character would do or say, or that look or something. And I realized like I need to bring more into a character. I'm only being this one dimensional. There's so much more underneath that I need to bring up. Anyway, my what I'm kind of getting at is the actors that you've chosen for your films have all been such stellar performers. So can we talk quickly about the audition process and how that every director is different, but what is your process? What do you notice? And why do you go with the people that you go with?
I mean, that's a really good question. First off, Kurt Conroy is amazing. He was in Wild Blue as well as Life and Death. Excuse me. And he, through the casting process, especially with Wild Blue, the character is written, I guess if you read it, and a lot of times my characters they come across as major assholes, or like they can be cringeworthy. So it takes the right kind of actor to bring a sense of likability and to make them authentic. And Kurt was great at that. I mean, we saw a lot of people for his character in Wild Blue, and I didn't like any of them because I couldn't watch this person. I wasn't gonna, in the course of a film, this person wasn't gonna win me over and like them. But Kurt did that, and he brought it, and that's we brought him on for Life and Death, which is kind of a similar character, where the guy is really funny, but also at the same time, kind of hated his life and did some cringeworthy things that would be frowned upon. But something about him, he justified those actions. So when it comes to the audition process, my characters, it takes an authentic actor because you have to make them real. You have to make them authentic. You have to make them likable, or otherwise my films won't work. Acting is like, everything. And so, when we see people, I just want people that feel like real people and feel like they can be in this world, because sometimes I see actors and I'm like, I don't know this person. I don't buy this person as a real person, and if they would just kind of bring themselves into the actor somehow, or, whatever their process is. So that's what I'm looking for, is just, somebody to make it feel real, like the real world.
Interesting. Adam, I remember Ashley Farley say that about Diamonds, I played this character that was total asshole, and she just came up to me during filming, and she's like, everybody came in as an asshole. Nobody liked these actors coming in giving this asshole performance. But there's a likability in a villain. There's likability in the asshole. You can have these moments where the audience doesn't look and say, God almighty, get off screen already. You're such an asshole. It's like have the asshole be under everything, but there's a character. There's you. I'm an asshole. Tommy Beardmore is an asshole. Like, can be an asshole, but I'm also a good person too. The asshole's underneath. and you can kind of like be a real person and have these like characteristics that fit the breakdown, but you don't have to hammer it down into the audition. Like, we get it. He's an asshole. It's almost like if you let it just kind of suggest your performance. I didn't do anything assholish. Honestly, it was more just kind of standoffish and sort of distant. And that was enough for me to be a likable asshole because I wasn't just constantly putting people down left and right.
Well, you make it relatable, and like you're touching on, I think everybody has these moments where, we go down a dark path or we have a bad day and we can relate to somebody being there. But at the same time, it's like it's a back and forth. Life is long, and you have good moments and you have bad moments. So whatever the character is, if it's a villain or just some guy's being a douchebag, if you can just make it relatable, I think that kind of helps.
And what about in auditions? Does there stand out in your, say, dozens of films, those moments that you said, that's it? It can be even general, but were there moments, whether it was Cade or Kurt or anybody, where you said, you versus 250 other people, that's it. That's what I'm looking for. You kind of mentioned a few things, but anything specific that these actors kind of did uniformly?
There's nothing like specific, but every character that I've casted, somebody comes along and it's like that's the person, and it's usually.
What do you think that is? Is it just inside where you're like, I feel it, or is it a specific element?
And also, is that part you as the writer going, that's what I wrote. That was what was in my head, and for whatever this particular actor is doing, that's
they understood your vision,
how I heard it. And
normally, no. Normally it's something that I didn't write. It's like I wrote this person, and usually the person that I hire
takes it another step forward.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's much better than what I wrote. This is like gonna make the film better. And it's just sometimes it's something they do or something they touch on. And as Tommy knows, with the films that I've done in the past, I don't really care so much what the actors say. They can, if they're feeling something or, they can bring it. It doesn't really matter. So a lot of times it can be that just somebody who like takes my words and makes it like this whole new, better character. And it just like, it's like a light bulb hits and you're like, yes, this is the person.
I think that's why actors who take improv classes, dramatic actors who have taken improv classes and kind of balanced that seesaw, they book so much. And there's a reason. It's because in improv, especially like the 5 level, the conservatory, IO, groundling, you're able to, they teach you how to write. They teach you how to find that funny, the truth in it, the others, the more original choice. There's something else going on. There's a thematic element. There's all this stuff. I think, if you had a heavy improv in college, which we don't, actors would be coming out in completely different form. And I think the ability to write and self-direct. So I'm an actor. I'm also a writer and an editor and a director. And in my head, I'm thinking like the director. I'm thinking like you as you write. What's really the story? I think that this would actually hammer it in heavier. And it takes kind of an actor to bring 80% more. 20%'s on the page. But what Kurt kind of taught me is like there's so much more that is unearthed. It's under there, but you have to bring it up. The writer only wrote the words. Now the magic starts to happen. But I think being a writer, at least knowing how to structure a scene in small form is really, really helpful. I never knew that as an actor training, but I'm sure you appreciate that in an actor, no?
Definitely. I think it is a big help whenever I worked with actors who come from, improv backgrounds or writers, that even directors, they kind of get a sense of how a scene is going to come together. And I think that does help, help a performance. And in the other side, I've worked with actors who are terrible at sort of improv and stuff, and when they're in those situations that they can just totally kill a scene because they're not listening, or just waiting for they thought of something in their head and they're waiting to like say it, and it's like
Right.
didn't work.
Actors who are just waiting their turn for their line.
Yeah. So I think just being, as you guys know, just being present in the situation, and if it goes off course, just go, yes, and you go with it and see where it goes. And yeah, I mean, it may be terrible and it may be something you never use, but every film that I've done, there's been these magical moments that I didn't write that we just came across and used, and sometimes are my favorite moments in my films. So
yeah. And it really is an understanding, though. I mean, I didn't know that going into training. You might have a little natural instinct to perform, but it's really in that heavy training where a teacher will take a magnifying glass to a scene and you really see the tasteful choice, the relevant choice, something that helps the story. You have to be trained in that. You can't just like understand story structure. And, so for actors out there who kind of haven't gotten to play with that, it's going to change your game up. I mean, it's a huge, huge help. So conversely, Adam, I want to hear about the other side. How about in that room where things didn't go right? There were actors that came in and was like, this is cringe. This is a faux pas. This is a huge no-no. Were there any times, and this is for actors who may be committing these, who are listening, that should be kind of avoided, or even general things that you kind of pride yourself on saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, I don't like this, in a room, in an audition or a performance?
This is for Adam?
This is for you, Josh. No, I was saying, Adam, enjoy this with me. Let's talk shit about bad actors. No, I'm saying, Josh, tell me what will piss you off in a room.
I mean, just for one, being a jerk, being an asshole, which happens all the time.
Does it really?
Yeah. No. I mean,
in what regard, like being rude or
being rude, and when an actor
late.
comes in, I mean, the thing is, I understand acting is hard and it takes a lot, and you show up for an audition, you have to, take the train downtown and you sit in a room for 30 minutes. But once you're in the room, you're on my time. I'm not on your time. And so I want somebody to just like, just let us do our thing for a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. And a lot of actors come in with this kind of ego or whatever it is that I'm on their time. And so right from the beginning,
what are these people thinking? You're hiring them.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, oh, if this is how it is in a 5-minute audition, I can't imagine how it is on a month set with you.
Yeah.
And so that's like a step one, or a big thing. Number one. Number two, how many people schedule an audition and don't show up to that audition?
Yes.
I mean, I guess
films before. Jesus, it's like, are you kidding me?
It's like at least 25% every single time, and it's like, what are you doing? And people who, I understand if something comes up and you got to cancel it, then cancel it. That's fine. But people who just like don't respond and don't show up, and then it's like, there's a gap of time where there's a lot of other people who would have loved to get into that room.
Yeah. Well, how many people, let me just stop you one second. How many people do you see for a given indie film role? Just a role?
I mean, it depends on the time, the situation. With Unhappily Married Man, as you were there in that casting process, we saw as many people as we could cram into the day. Right. It's like whatever you can afford. Alex October was different because I didn't produce the film. It was another production company, and there was a casting director. So the process was quite a bit different, where they kind of whittled it down, and then I would come in at the end and give my opinions and stuff like that. I mean, I hate that. I want to see everybody.
You want to see the herd.
Yeah. I don't mind like going through auditions and stuff and seeing people, but I just want people to want to be there. If you don't want to be there, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste anybody's time.
You're in a bad industry if you don't want to be an actor. It's like, oh, people hate it when they love it. They hate it. You must really hate your life.
I don't understand, like, because it's so hard and it's such a hard process to just not show up. That's like,
they're fucking amateurs.
I don't understand it. And that can be the problem whenever you try to see as many people as possible. People are like, oh, it's this indie film from a director I've never heard of. I don't really care. So I guess it does help when you go through a casting director, because then they can deal with that, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
personally, I like to see a lot of people, because I feel like sometimes I see somebody who's great who the casting director, doesn't see. Or I think a lot of times the casting directors too, and I'm not trying to knock them, but they maybe don't have an imagination. Like they're
Yeah.
looking for a certain thing. And if somebody comes in and they can be completely different, but they're like so great. It's like they're eliminating these people sometimes. So that's why I like to see, everybody, because you never know who's gonna like just hit this and like, oh, that was not what I was looking for, but I like it.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't really think about that, but I would want to be seeing the whole herd on the prairie rather than just like the 10 that they picked. There's
Mhm.
so many people that we've cast that were a total surprise. And that even initially I watched the tape and I was like, I don't like them. And then like a month later when they're starting, I'm like, oh yeah,
I
this is
don't
great.
like them.
So, you mentioned some actors not showing up, and they say like, oh, it's just an indie with a director that I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But if I can say one thing, which is very rare, but in 15 years, the projects that I've gotten that were either the most enjoyable, the most successful, the projects that led to the next bigger thing, it all started with something small, some no name or some tiny little short, whatever. And I think that The Witching Hour is a perfect example. You knew Tanner and you were casting that. I had simply just, I think, helped you cast it or walked in to read. But in that project, you were writing a film following that project, and you offered me that role. But what if I saw that Witching Hour and said, I don't know, I got a long weekend ahead, I don't want to. It wouldn't have led to that, which led to this, which led to the other thing, which led to a bigger thing. There's never anything that's just too small or I don't know them. It's like, yeah, you don't know them because you don't know fucking anything in this industry anyway. You're not even going to your auditions. But, it is really important because some prolific creators and filmmakers started and continue to film small things that people might think aren't going to go anywhere. But I believe that as an actor, you go out. Peter Dinklage says, do everything, go out there and get everything, because when you do that, you're casting your net and you have a much wider chance of things like kind of continuing and that success following.
Yeah,
People may forget just how collaborative this is. And it's not just your one role that you're doing. It's if you're there and you're there for several weeks or a month or whatever, you're meeting a ton of people. And, if those people like what they see, then moving forward, they, have you in mind for something else, or you might do something and you're like, you know what, that person who blah, 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 blah on set, they really kicked ass. I'm going to use them for my thing. Or, it's everybody, it's all relationships and building relationships. And, if you just think, this is small, I'm not going to do it. It's like, like you said, Tom, one thing led to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. So,
yeah, you should at least show up, go through the process. If you get cast and this film looks so horrible that you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But you should definitely show up and go through it. Because like you said, you never know who you're going to meet. There's going to be a PA there who, if you don't get cast, this PA is like, oh, Tommy was fucking great. And he makes a film 2 years later and casts you in it. And the kid becomes, Steven Spielberg. Who knows?
Or even the casting director who's casting your film and I don't get that film, but maybe he or she liked me and brings me in for the next indie that they've got. It's just like, this is the job. You're not supposed to like everything that you're going out for, So let's quickly talk about being on set. And, there are some actors who maybe have been on set before, a professional set, maybe some who have not at all. In terms of kind of what's expected and the things that you appreciate an actor doing versus the things that you really don't. I know we chatted about the audition process, but in terms of the performance and like the day of, were there any nightmarish situations or things that you were just like, I don't like that actor doing fill in the blank?
I think being prepared is like a huge thing for me. I'm an open book. When an actor's cast, you can talk to me as much as you want about who this character is, and and
you've always been so open to chat.
And a lot of stuff that's not in the story and most people are never going to know, I can tell you. If you want to know your character's favorite color in third grade, I can tell you. But whatever your process is, I can help you. But once we get there, you know, I want you to be prepared, because, you know, it costs so much to make a film, and it's so hard. It's so hard to raise money to make a film. And, you know, sometimes in these films, I've been raising money for 5-10 years.
Right.
So it's like, you know, all right, once we're rolling, it's like, you're coming to set. It's game time. You know, we can't waste this time. And you know, I had some rough situations where it's like an actor isn't prepared, and I'm like,
They just don't know their lines or this anything.
Okay, there's one situation, you know, I'm not gonna call out the actor, but we were running an hour late, and, you know, I'm talking to my AD. I'm like, what is the fucking holdup? And he's like, I can't get this actor out of their trailer. And so I have to walk over there as a director. You know, we're like, we should have been rolling, and we're like wasting time, you know, wasting money. I go there, I finally get into the,
and on indies, you don't have the money to
sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
It's like, no. On indies, you have such strict, tight schedules.
Yeah. You every second you need to make it count. So I get to the trailer, and this actor is like looking at accessories that they're going to be wearing, and like still debating on their clothing. And I'm like, this should have been a decision that was knocked out long ago, which, you know, it was. But then they get there and like, I don't know if I feel right wearing this hat or brooch or whatever the fuck it is. And all this stuff is like laid out on the bed, like all these different accessories. And she's there with the system. They're like looking. I'm like, we just can't figure. I'm like, pick that one. Let's go. It doesn't matter. Let's go film the scene. And so they're like things like that, or, you know, just actors who, you know, very rarely is there an actor that doesn't know their lines, but there are times where, I don't know if it's like the moment, or, you know, the heaviness of the moment, and maybe they feel like a little nervous or something. Yeah. And that's fine if you need a few moments to gather yourself. But if you got to go off and listen to music for half an hour to get into character when you should have done that beforehand, you know, that's bad. It's really bad on an indie film. It's like that, just you going off just cost us $2,000, you know, or whatever it is. So
yeah, isn't it amazing? I mean, and that's why I think actors need to have some sort of crew credit on a film, because then you'll never just think about yourself anymore. You just won't. And when I see an actor pull shit like that, it's like, oh, you have no clue where you are. It screams like amateur.
Try doing that on a network show. Like,
you're gone. You're literally fired. They'll call the backup in a second. You're gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had an actor not show up on, you know, the day of, and it's like,
amazing.
It's like, where's this actor? And we call the agent. The agent's like, they're not there, and, you know, we can't get a hold of him. And luckily,
like, turns out it was a car crash and he was dead. But like, still, like, you have to call when you're on your way.
I mean, it turns out this person thought like the call was like 8 a.m. and they thought the call was 8 p.m. But they didn't respond or anything like that.
Right.
And luckily, I had a PA who was working on set, and she was like standing a lot, and I just know, and she like knew every line of the script, and she was like good. And I see her, and so like this moment came up, and we're like panicking, and they were trying to figure out one of the backup actors. I was like, this PA she's almost, you know, the same age or like the same look, and it's like, she's a good actor. It was a small part, you know, but, you know,
she's like, wait, she's like, this is the moment I've been waiting for. It's finally happened.
I think there was a little bit of that, you know, because she had just kind of started acting, was going to auditions and stuff. But just the fact that she was standing and she was prepared, and she showed me in just a few moments that, you know, whatever, she was reading like other characters, but she was like doing it properly, you know. And then she came in and she killed it. She had 3 lines and she fucking killed it. And I was like, she was probably better than the actress that we were going to hire. So maybe it worked out for a reason.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's like, you know, double check your email of your call time or whatever it is. You know?
Who did we interview, Adam, from the agency? Who was the agent?
Redman?
Matt Redman. He said communication is the number one thing that he will essentially like ever fire an actor. You'll never get fired. But in that respect, he's like, communication, because actors don't look at the email, read the email, confirm the email. We're a business. We're an office. You have to communicate with us. And in terms of like call sheets, I'm like checking my email all the time so that I don't hold up the production coordinator or the AD or whoever's sending this thing. And it's another thing, like you have to, I'm part of this team. If I'm out in the woods fucking around, like nobody's going to be paid. You know?
Didn't he say like, if an appointment for an audition comes through, right, and he as the agent emails the client and is
Right.
like, hey, this is what it is, it's due by this, because if I'm waiting more than 3 hours for a great, got it, he's like, that's not okay.
Not in this day and age. You don't have to go to a payphone, pal. It's very, very quick process. Yeah, the quicker you communicate, man, then they know that they can count on you for a quick communication. I got yesterday a huge commercial audition that was due in essentially 2 hours, but they knew that I would get it, not only answer it, but get a good product quickly. And if you kind of have that reputation, it's going to lead to more opportunities.
Yeah. Be prepared.
Okay.
Be prepared.
Yeah, big time.
That's like the major thing.
What about creating your own stuff? Now, I know that you have had a nice group of projects, and it seems that each one went from, say, 5,000 budget, and then we get a little higher, 10, 15. Now we're at 25. I think that by the time Life and Death was shooting, that was in the over 20s, and that was like kind of a level that you were breaking through, and that's exactly how you should do it. More, bigger, 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 bigger. Can you talk about creating your own work, getting up, battling that resistance as a writer? Like, I don't know anyone who has more resistance than a writer. It's all up to you to create something out of thin air. In an age where we can create anything with our phones, and it's actually really important that we do that as an actor, because fucking followers and being out there and relevant and stupid stuff like that. Can you maybe comment on the best way to kind of get up and get going and make this thing happen?
I mean, as a writer, it's kind of like any other job. You just need to have some sort of process. You know, I write best whenever I'm secluded somewhere, for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. I can't do that anymore because I have a 2-year-old. And
you used to go out in the desert, bro. You used to go out to the desert and write, and you'd go hiking. I'd see pictures. You're in the middle of fucking nowhere. I'm like, this dude rocks.
Yeah. And that was like,
and now I have this little person.
Yeah, I used to go. That's exactly what I do. I'd hike for a day, and then the next day I would write, and do that for months at a time, and
Isn't
just like
that
be
sexy?
secluded and not talk to people, and like be that guy. Like I said, now I can't do that anymore because I have to pick up my kid from school. And
here's what we'll do, Josh. We'll get an Airbnb. We'll take the kids. All right. We'll have like a little side house, and I'll let you have your time there. Okay.
Yeah.
You won't be without this process.
Yeah. But not, like I said, my process now has changed where I, try to block off like a few hours at a time to write, which is not exactly ideal for me, but you just got to find different ways to do it, and try to write every day. Try to do something every day. If you're trying to make your own films, do something every day that's towards that goal. So I try to block off times and write a little bit. The process is a little bit slower, but you find ways to do it. And so
it really is a different game when you're now like kind of climbing the adult ladder. You're married, you've got a kid, priorities change. For a lot of people, this is the time, especially men. I will say that, especially men, because we don't have kids, we have to work. That's how we like contribute to the unit, right? A lot of people will kind of start to bow out because of the added pressure and stress, no time, but I think the real winner will adjust, adapt, create the structure within this craziness. A lot of people say like once things start picking up, that's kind of the end. Well, no way. Your emotional spectrum has increased so much. I bet your writing has changed now that you're a father. No,
I mean, I think everything has changed, mentality wise, and I'll be the first to admit it. I lived life a long time like there's no tomorrow because I didn't care. I was just, living for myself and doing my own thing. And now that you have like this cute little kid to protect, that's like pure of heart, you'll do anything to take care of them. It changes everything where, before when I was living for myself, now everything I do is for her, so everything changes, but it's, and I know that sounds scary a lot of times when you don't have kids. I know whenever I didn't have kids, I was like, I don't want that. I don't, but once you have it, it's like, no, you want to do that. You know, you want to protect this little
Mm.
tiny human, you know, but you know, if you have passion and you want to be a filmmaker, you should continue to do it and find ways to do it. I've worked with a lot of people who do burn out and they're like, it's not worth it. And, you know, I don't love it anymore. Then yes, if you don't love it, go do something else where you can make, you know, money on a regular basis and do something like that. But if you do have that passion and you still want to do it, you find ways to do it, you know, find time to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Let's talk quickly about film festivals. That's a whole side of acting that nobody talks about in the training, but it is a huge part of our lives, especially if you're on camera, you're doing indie films, especially film festivals, and especially where there's a tour, are an incredible way to get yourself out there, to meet people, shake hands, experience the festival culture, which is so fun. Truly, like if I was to isolate my most favorite moments, chapters in my life, like one of those, I have many, but one of those would be when a film is out there on a festival circuit and you're out there with it, you're at the Q&As, you're watching other films, you're meeting people. You have taken it upon yourself to start your own film festival in your hometown, which I've attended, which actually was one of the, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the best film festivals to submit to, top 25 or something like that. There's a better way to put that, but you've succeeded in starting festivals, and actually multiple festivals. You're actually programming director of Gig Harbor, and I think you've helped with other festivals, maybe in Chicago as well. So you do have a knack for understanding that whole process. You have seen actors in film festivals. Are there things that actors do that kind of keep them from, you know, taking that opportunity as it is? And I'll give you an example of me back when I was drinking. I'd spend most of my film festivals at the bar, and I'd be drinking and literally just like hanging out, chatting, talk, but nothing. I wasn't doing much of anything. This is before Life and Death, and I probably squandered some of those great opportunities. I was there for a reason. But can you talk a little bit about getting involved in film festivals, maybe even like being a part of one, volunteering, and that kind of culture, and how it kind of helps us as actors?
Yeah, I mean, as far as being an actor in film festivals, it's a great way to network, especially when you're kind of beginning and you're building your reel and you're trying to get, you know, some more on camera work. Go to festivals. There's so many festivals, but go to festivals in your area and go to, you know, I would recommend, you know, buy a VIP all weekend pass or volunteer and get a free pass, and you can be there and go to as many screenings as you can. If you see a film and the director's there, go up to the director and talk to him. I mean, no director, you know, directors, they love to hear that you know, somebody liked their work, especially an actor. And I've had lots of actors who got on my radar just come up to me and they're like, hey, you know, I appreciate your work. I'm in this film. Come check it out. And I go check it out. And it's like, that fucking actor's great. I mean, that was Tara Shane, who's the lead in Alex October.
So she did that to you, huh? And that's not a tasteless thing. It was probably more of a, you know, a friend to friend, you know, it wasn't a desperate thing, I imagine.
No. And actually I met her at the Sedona Film Festival, which is a great festival. And Life and Death was playing there. And it was paired with, they pair features with shorts. And my feature was paired with her short that she starred and directed in. So we were just like naturally put together. And, you know, we're chatting after the fest, and, you know, she's like, I loved your film and I'd love to work with you. You know, do you have anything you're thinking about doing? And I'm like, yeah. And I sent her like 10 scripts that day.
I like the aggressiveness. I love that.
Yeah. I like that too. Cause I love, you know, Tommy, I like working with actors who take their career in their own hands. They're not just like sitting, waiting for their agent to call, or waiting, you know, when is Hollywood going to call me? I love actors who are making their own shit. And, you know, I think you have to be aggressive. You don't have to be like an asshole about it, but, you know, go out there and be aggressive. And so I sent her all scripts, and you know, it's like, yeah, read these. If anything ever, you know, floats your boat, let me know. She the next day she ran up to me. She's like, I read all your scripts. I'm like, last night.
You're like, oh my God, go to bed.
Yeah. And she's like, Alex October is a beautiful script. I would love to be a part of it. And it's a film that I try to make, you know, unsuccessfully for a long time. And I was like, Tara, if you want to try to produce this and star in it, go for it. I hear that from actors all the time, and they're like, oh, I'll do it, I'll produce it, and they like, oh, this is really hard, this sucks,
Right.
I'm not going to do it. And
You have
she
to get a
did
lot
it.
of money, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
Where does that all come from?
Yeah.
No
It took her,
shit,
like,
that's the question.
Doctors and dentists who want EP credits. That's it.
Yeah, it took her like 2 or 3 years, but she did it. She, was out here in LA knocking on every door and got us into a lot of meetings that I could never get us into.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And we had tons and tons of meetings with production companies, and a lot of people liked it, but it didn't work out. And then finally we
From a lot of
found
Wow.
the right company and got it made.
Well,
And that
you
was from
made it.
meeting at a festival.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I mean, I did want to mention Alex October. It's available now on VOD. It was in select theaters. Congrats on getting distribution. You've also gotten distribution on a lot of your projects before, which really anybody can shoot an indie. Anybody can do it. I know it's very hard, but it's quite another to like get it noticed and sent on some sort of distribution channel, whether it be streaming, VOD, or in theaters. You've had a knack for doing that. I'm sure there's a process to it, and I'm sure it has to do with you and the project and the people involved. But I did want to talk about Alex October. We went to the premiere recently. I believe it was where was it? The Oriental.
Dances with Films, I think.
Dances with Films Festival. And what was that theater?
The Chinese
theater. Yeah, beautiful event.
Has
Beautiful
a proper name, I think.
Alex October. It's a great indie film. It's a sad man and a bored girl from an unusual relationship after a bizarre online classified ad brings their chaotic lives together. And I got to say, Ethan Kudkowski, I believe he played Josh, right? Yeah. He's incredible. You had such a stellar cast, and I mean, at least it seemed to me that at that moment and that night, that was such like a high point from so many years of just working. You're at this point now where you can make something with great people, sell it, and then move on to the next great adventure. It's got to be a really fulfilling experience for you.
Yeah, I mean that's always a nice point when you get to that point where the film's being released and all that hard work, and this is a film that we actually was picked up before any of that stuff, so there wasn't any pressure. So with Life and Death, that the film festival thing became very important to get it out there and try to get exposure. And I was going.
How many film festivals did you play there for Life and Death? I want to say probably over 50.
Yeah, I think 50, 60, something like that.
That's huge.
And the reason, we kept it going because I was inviting all these distributors and people to come and just trying to network. And if there was a festival, it was like that I knew that certain distributors were going to be there. It's like I tried to get in there and certainly went and tried to set up a meeting. Whistler was a big one. And I think that's where we ended up getting the distribution that we wanted.
That was an incredible experience. One of my favorite experiences of my life was going to Whistler, skiing, going to these films. It was like a not real place. It was like heaven. It was like a winter heaven. It was like isolated from the world. It was such a beautiful place and such a great festival.
Yeah, it was a very cool festival, and just and like I was like hustling like a madman there because there were distributors, and I had a few meetings set up, and then I knew that distributors were going to be at these certain parties, and I would get in there and sneak my way in or whatever, and like come check out this film or watch the screener, and and thankfully it finally all that hard work paid off, and and we have a list of, it's like, hey, we got into these festivals, we won these awards. It doesn't really mean much, but once it adds up, it might be able to get you into the door or some of these distributors, or at least get them to kind of take a look at your film after, like, well, if it's won 25 best film awards, I'll take a look at it at least.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why you do that. And that's why film festivals can be helpful on a film like that. In reverse, Alex October, we had distribution already. So there was like no pressure, which was nice. I could show up to the premiere and not have to be that guy that's like, trying to make sure all the distributors are there.
You want to buy my movie?
Yeah.
Who wants to buy my movie?
Yeah, and it was such a refreshing.
What are you,
feeling.
a studio going into production knowing you have distro? What the hell is this?
It was such a great feeling. Yeah,
I love that. Oh, this is such a great opportunity, and it's something interesting where if you live in a place and then you're gone for a couple of years and then you move somewhere else and that person is there, it's such a beautiful, like, reuniting. And I'm so glad that we're in the same city, and we'll get to like hang out and hopefully watch our kids like hang out together. And so it's been wonderful to chat with you. Just want to know like what is up next for you? Anything cooking? Anything sizzling?
Yeah, the kitchen is brewing, like a lot of
okay.
things in development. Nothing is like concrete going forward, but I'm developing a couple scripts for some production companies now, and then I have some of my own stuff that I'm just trying to get moving on. You know, several films and a couple pilots, and just you know, right now it's exciting because of the small amount of success with LX October. It has opened a few doors, and just trying to be as productive as possible. And I just want to make good shit and make projects that I'm proud of, and get some stuff out there. So just trying to find stuff to make. Yeah.
You're such a consistent professional, because you've been this way since I've known you, and there's a reason why you're where you are, and it's because of this outlook and this very simple attitude, and you have that on set too. And I gotta say, of all the directors, I have a nice group of people that I'd like want to be in a room with again, right? But you in particular, your composition, your composure, and your inner peace, even when things were going crazy. And we shot a movie in 13 days for 20 some grand, and it went all over. And in those 13 days, like, so many things had to go right. But in any moment, and I love this when a DP is like this too, has this kind of energy, you had this constant presence of calm, and it allowed anybody around to just kind of absorb it. And DPs, I love when DPs do this too, because I have a relationship with the DP. It's like just as much as a director. It's just the camera is like another character for me. And it's really important because I can feed off of that. And when your guy, your main dude is like that and has that composure, it really does set the tone for everything. So if it's something that you have, I hope that you always like own that and know that it's a huge asset to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's definitely my goal, is to be the center of calmness, or because everything else is crazy around you.
Yeah.
And there's no reason, if something's going wrong, to sit there and cry about it and throw a big fit, because you're wasting time. So as soon as if something bad
Pick
goes
the
happen,
fucking belt and get on set.
Yeah, my brain goes into backup, plan B. Life and death, when we were supposed to film that scene with Sean Patrick Leonard at the bar, and the bar they don't let us go there. It's like, and everyone's like, oh, fuck, what we're gonna do? We've wasted a day. And I'm like, okay, we're not, plan B, let's go. We have this, and you just move on and
Go to
find
the high
something.
school, throw them
Yeah.
under the bleachers.
Yeah.
Done. Josh, where can people find you if they want to stalk you?
I mean, I'm on social media, but not really. I'm Film Stallion on Instagram and Twitter. I don't really do social media that much. But if you have a script, I'm looking to collaborate with people. If you have good stuff, my email is jrhope76@gmail, or filmstallion@gmail. Send me an email. I would love to read your script and love to get something made. So, looking for good stuff, not looking, a lot of people will contact me with an idea. That's great. But ideas are
I was taking a shit and I had this idea.
Yeah. That's, like every cousin and uncle and friend I've ever had, like,
paper.
I got this great idea. I'm like, well, you should write that idea, and then we can make
a script for me then.
Yeah. But if you have a script that's, solid, tight, you want to make it, and you're having trouble, hit me up. I would love to read it.
Right on.
Josh Hope, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Josh. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, guys.
What a treat. And I'll let you talk in a second, Adam. Adam is here, by the way, everybody. Josh and I, we just reunited after like 7 or 8 years. And so I had so many things that I just wanted to talk about. I'm sorry. But here we are, Adam, and this is your chance now to speak. What really is
I know.
Listen, that was a great interview. I absolutely love him. I'm so glad that we could have this little chat about another side of the business. You know, that's it, huh? Nothing? Okay. You son of a bitch. You can find out more about Before the Break and how to become a working actor at workingactorpro.com. Follow us on Instagram at Before the Break Pod and Working Actor Pro. Follow us on Twitter at Before the Break Pod. That's the letter B, the number 4, the Break Pod. Check out Adam's stuff at adamdecarlo.com. Follow him at that Adam DeCarlo. You can find out more about me at thetomdowning.com. Follow me at I'm Tom, by the way. Don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a rating, and write a review if you like what you heard. Check back next week for an all-new episode with an all-new guest, Adam.
See you next week.
Adios.